Welcome to Ken Talks Games, and today we're counting down 10 dating and romance games worth your time. Some are wholesome, some are chaotic, and some are way darker than you'd expect. So let's get into it. Number 10, I Love You, Colonel Sanders. Kicking off this list is one of the strangest official game releases ever. I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator. Yes, this is a real game. And yes, it was made by KFC, and somehow it actually works. You play as a culinary student trying to win the heart of a young anime-style Colonel Sanders while competing in cooking classes and navigating absurd rivalries. The writing leans hard into the joke, but that's the charm. It knows exactly how ridiculous it is, and it commits fully to the bit. What makes it memorable isn't the romance itself, it's the fact that this exists at all, and that's genuinely entertaining. Because sometimes the best way to start a dating sim list is with one nobody expected. Number 9, Sucker for Love. Sucker for Love takes the dating sim formula and mixes it with cosmic horror. Instead of meeting cute classmates and charming neighbors, you're trying to romance eldritch entities inspired by Lovecraftian gods. You perform rituals, follow strange instructions, and slowly realize you might be in over your head. But what makes it work is the tone. It's equal part adorable and unsettling, switching between cute anime romance and creepy dread. The characters are surprisingly charming, even when technically they're beings beyond human comprehension. It's weird, funny, and it proves dating sims can flirt with horror just as easily as a romance. But our next entry keeps the horror vibe with a much more familiar cast. Number 8, Hooked on You. Hooked on You is a dating sim set in the world of Dead by Daylight. But this time, instead of running from the killers, you're stranded on a tropical island and trying to romance them. The Trapper, the Huntress, the Spirit, even the Wraith. It sounds like a joke, and it kind of is, but the game leads into the absurdity with colorful writing, goofy minigames, and surprisingly likable versions of these horror icons. It's lighter and more playful than its source material, and that contrast is what makes it work, because sometimes even masked killers just want a beach date. But our next entry trades tropical vibes for something far more unsettling. Number 7, Homicipher. Homicipher is less about traditional romance and more about communication, tension, and interpretation. You explore strange environments, interact with unsettling characters, and try to understand what they're really saying and what they really want. It feels more like a psychological experiment than a typical dating sim. The relationships are ambiguous, the tone uneasy, and you're never quite sure who you can trust. That uncertainty is exactly what makes it memorable. It's not cozy, it's not comforting, but it sticks with you. And after that unsettling energy, our next game brings the list back to something more action-packed and personal. Number 6, Boyfriend Dungeon. Boyfriend Dungeon blends dungeon crawling with dating sim mechanics. Your weapons transform into people, and those people are potential romantic partners. You build relationships through conversations and dates, and then take those same characters into combat as living weapons. It's a clever metaphor, but the game goes deeper than its concept. It explores boundaries, trust, and personal growth, and even includes content warnings for heavier themes. The mix of action, romance, and emotional honesty is what makes this game stand out in the genre. As you can see, dating and romance sims can get weird fast, so tell me in the comments, what's the strangest romance you've seen in a game? Because from here on out, we're getting into some real heavy hitters. Number 5, Dream Daddy. Dream Daddy is one of the most beloved modern dating sims. You play as a single dad who just moved into a neighborhood with your teenage daughter, only to discover it's full of other single dads. From there, you attend cookouts, minigames, and awkward social events, choosing dialogue options and activities that help you build relationships with each character. Every dad has a distinct personality, from the goth, coffee-loving Damien to the overly enthusiastic Coach Craig, and each route focuses on different themes like loss, insecurity, or starting over later in life. And let's be honest, a lot of people were first interested in this game because of the hot dads and the novelty of the concept. It was memeable, charming, and very internet friendly. But what made people stay was how sincere it felt. Beneath the jokes is a story about grief, parenthood, and second chances. The relationships feel gentle and grounded, and by the end, it's less about punchlines and more about the people. It's wholesome without being cheesy, funny without losing its heart, and that balance is exactly why it's stuck with so many players. Number 4. Monster Prom. Monster Prom throws you into a chaotic high school filled with monsters and gives you just a few in-game weeks to land a date for prom. Each turn, you choose where to spend your time: the library, the gym, the bathroom, or some very questionable corners of the school. Every choice raises different stats, and those stats determine whether your crush will actually be interested in you by the end. The cast of characters is full of loud, memorable personalities, from the arrogant vampire Liam to the aggressively confident succubus Miranda, and the writing leads hard into absurd humor, constantly throwing bizarre scenarios and unexpected twists your way. What really sets Monster Prom apart is how well it works as a multiplayer experience. Up to 4 players can compete for dates at the same time, turning it into part dating sim, part party game, and part social chaos generator. It's fast, unpredictable, and endlessly replayable, which is why it became a favorite for friend groups and streamers alike. And after all that high energy chaos, our next entry takes the dating sim concept into a completely different direction. Number 3, Date Everything. Date Everything takes the dating sim concept and stretches it to its absolute limit. Instead of dating people, you date the objects around your home. Your furniture, your appliances, things like your bed, your fridge, even your smoke detector all become fully voiced characters with their own personalities and storylines. You play as someone who suddenly gains the ability to see these objects as living, dateable beings, and from there, it becomes a more traditional dating sim structure. You talk to them, make dialogue choices, build affection, and unlock different endings depending on how your relationships develop. What makes this game stand out isn't just the absurd premise, but how committed it is to the idea. Each object isn't just a joke. They have their own quirks, emotional beats, and surprisingly, thoughtful writing behind them. A lot of early reactions and previews have pointed out just how charming these characters actually are, which is kind of impressive when you realize you're forming a bond with your own household items. It's weird, creative, and unapologetically committed to its concept, and if a dating sim can make you care about your toaster, it's probably doing something right. But our next entry brings us back to something much more traditional and comforting. Number 2, Coral Island. Coral Island is a cozy farming sim at heart, but its romance system is a huge part of the experience. You arrive on a tropical island and start rebuilding an old farm, and slowly become part of the local community. As you meet the townspeople, you can give gifts, attend festivals, and unlock heart events that reveal more about each character's personality and backstory. There's a large and diverse cast of romance options, each with their own routines, dialogue, and storylines. And much like Dream Daddy, a lot of players were first drawn in by just how many good-looking characters there were to date. Even now, you'll still see people joking about how hard it is to pick just one. But what makes it stick is how natural those relationships feel. You're not racing towards a confession or trying to hit a specific ending. You're just living your life, improving your farm, and slowly growing closer to someone along the way. It's colorful, optimistic, and quietly heartful. The kind of game where romance feels like part of the world, not just a mechanic on a checklist. But our number 1 pick takes the dating sim formula and turns it completely upside down. Number 1, Doki Doki Literature Club. Doki Doki Literature Club starts like a typical high school dating sim. You join a small literature club, meet a few cute girls, and start writing poems to get closer to each of them. Each day, you choose words from your poems, and those choices determine which character you bond with. On the surface, it feels like a familiar loop. Cute art, soft music, and awkward teenage romance. It all feels comfortable, almost nostalgic, until it very suddenly isn't. Without spoiling anything, the game begins to break its own rules, using the dating sim format to tell a much darker story about control, obsession, and emotional manipulation. It plays with the player's expectations, with the structure of visual novels, and even with the idea of what a game is allowed to do. A lot of players went in expecting a light romance and came out genuinely shaken. This game sparked endless discussions, reaction videos, and theories, and it quickly became one of the most talked about dating sims ever made. It's not the happiest romance on the list, but it is easily the most unforgettable, and that impact is exactly why it takes our #1 spot. Whether you want something wholesome, chaotic, or emotionally intense, there's a romance here for just about anyone. So which one is your favorite, or which one did I miss? Let me know in the comments and subscribe to Ken Talks Games for more lists, deep dives, and games worth talking about.